Today on The Express, we're celebrating the launch of Vancouver Fashion Week. Coming up, the models, the fashions, and today's up-and-coming designers. 15 seasons of Vancouver Fashion Week, and we've got a preview of the collections coming up. Also on today's show,
despite the burden of the equipment, the young dancers say learning to fly was kind of easy.
the high-flying antics behind Ballet BC's newest production.
Trey was one of 2 kids in BC that had hunters.
A mother's mission to find a cure for her son's rare disease.
Well, we are on our way up to Mount Mackenzie and...
The travel guys explore our province and visit Revelstoke.
I think fashion's more identity.
And we find out what fashion means to you.
Expressing who you are on the outside.
That and more on today's Express. Welcome to The Express. I'm Bianca Salterbeck filling in for Johanna Ward. On today's show, we're celebrating Canadian and international talent at Vancouver Fashion Week. All the designers are here and they've brought one model so we can get a preview of their collections. But first, if you're thinking of going green and changing your commute, you are not alone. Bike sales in the Lower Mainland are going through the roof. On today's Daily 4, Aaron Shaw tells us how to get the bike that's right for you.
It's spring and you just want to get a bike, but don't just go for the first pretty one you see. Today we're learning the basics of choosing a bike that's right for you. The first question is, what do you want to use it for?
For the rider that wants to get out and be more adventuresome on the trails, we have the mountain bikes, commuting, there's road bikes of all different natures. Well, a hybrid would be a bike that would work well on the pavement and have the ability to handle some of the gravel and harder off-road surfaces.
Next is picking a bike that's the right size.
And then just lift the bike up. There you go. So you've got enough clearance.
Proper fit is going to minimize the strain and fatigue on the body, and it's going to deliver a lot more efficient power to the bike, and you're going to have a more enjoyable time at the end of the ride that you aren't feeling any aches and pains. If you're riding a mountain bike, I guess a rule of thumb to start at would be about a 2-inch clearance over the top.
But if it's a road bike, you can stand to have it a little bigger. Certain parts of the bike can be swapped out to make your ride more comfortable, including the seat.
Now we're seeing a lot of different seats here. Now, how should I know which one is right for me?
Well, if you're going to be riding comfortably on a bike in an upright sitting position, a saddle like this, where your pelvic bone is rotated up, is going to have a better base and offer greater support. If you're going to be leaning forwards a little bit more, then a saddle that isn't as wide in the front here, so you don't have as much leg rubbing against it, creating heat, friction, chafing, that saddle there would be a more comfortable saddle for somebody doing more active cycling, avid cycling, more time on the bike.
The right seat helps your butt, and the right stem helps your back.
Okay, just grab the handlebars, and you're reaching too far for that position. So, and now we can bring you back, all the way back.
And make sure to take a test ride before you buy.
Let's face it, riding in the Lower Mainland, you're going to want to be comfortable, and that means accessories that are going to keep you dry, visible, and safe.
Helmet, it's law, but apart from being the law, it's just a smart thing to do. Those blinking LED lights that draw so much attention to you when you're out on the road, and you feel a little bit more comfortable because you have a greater sense of a presence out there.
Don't forget fenders and rain gear to keep you dry, and bike computers for helping you measure your distance and speed. Now you're set for your commute. I'm Aaron Shaw in Port Coquitlam for The Express.
In case you're wondering where the BMX bike fits in, Aaron says they're not the best commuter bikes, but they are great for getting around the seawall. But tonight we're talking local and international fashion, and we're getting a look at the 2008 Fall and Winter collection at Vancouver Fashion Week. Coming up, we talked to one of the designers about her new collection.
I'm inspired by an 1860s collection with modern twists.
It's already a demanding profession, but none of these dancers ever imagined they'd be asked to learn how to fly.
And Ballet BC's newest performance is keeping its dancers light on their feet. Coming up in this next story, we're going to meet a Vancouver mom who's raising money to help find a cure for her son's rare disease. Reporter Peter Kim has more on the family and the second annual Tacos for Trey fundraiser.
Come on, Trey, you gonna swing on the bar?
At first appearance, Trey Purcell seems like your average 4-year-old.
Well, he's a great kid, full of energy, rambunctious, you know. He's just like everyone else. He wants to have fun.
But he's one of the unlucky few who suffer from a rare and incurable disorder. If left untreated, Trey will no longer be able to run with such reckless abandon. The enzyme deficiency afflicting him results in a buildup of molecules in his body. This buildup will hinder his movement, shut down his organs, but perhaps most troubling is this. Facial disfigurement is a telltale sign of this disease.
When Trey was diagnosed, I think Trey was one of 2 kids in BC that had Hunter's, and not a lot was known.
Hunter syndrome is considered an orphan disease, so called because it afflicts fewer than 1 in every 2,000 individuals. Therefore, the pharmaceutical industry has simply abandoned any attempts at looking for a cure. Their reasoning is, why invest hundreds of thousands of dollars on a drug that only a handful of people would use? Hunter's was first identified nearly a century ago, but how it actually attacks the body is still a mystery because very few have been trying to unravel its secrets.
Hard work, yeah. I'm gonna go do some hard work. Not like Dad, but hard work, different kind of hard work.
So Deb Purcell is taking matters into her own hands, organizing a fundraiser that will raise money for research into a cure. Trey was one of the first in Canada to receive enzyme replacement therapy, one of the few treatments available.
So yeah, this is the cream that we put on before Trey gets his enzyme replacement therapy. It's a numbing cream. Trey, can you come give Sadie a kiss?
His family would have had to pay $250,000 for it, but the BC government was willing to foot the bill. They were lucky.
And so it's on a case-by-case basis that these decisions are made, and so it's really frustrating for parents who are just devastated by a new diagnosis to then have to turn around and say, well, you can't get this drug unless you fight really hard for it.
But there may be an answer, according to Deb and advocates of the orphan disease community.
It would help in so many ways if there was an orphan drug policy, and it's really frustrating that Canada is one of the few developed countries in the world. It might actually be the only developed country, I'm not sure, that doesn't have an orphan drug policy, so there's nothing in place for kids like Trey.
Such a policy exists in the US, Australia, and Japan. In Canada, it's hit and miss. BC and Alberta cover the cost, but Ontario doesn't.
Without the enzyme replacement therapy, his hearing loss would get worse, the valves in his heart would stop working as well. His facial features are, they've softened a lot. At this point, because he's so young when he started it, most of it's preventative, like he's doing really well, and so at this point it's preventing anything from getting worse.
The results are encouraging, and with every dollar earned, researchers come closer to unraveling the mysteries of this disease. In Vancouver, I'm Peter Kim for The Express.
Last year, the Purcell family raised $30,000, and this year they're hoping to raise even more. If you want to help out, just send them an email. But today we're talking fashion and the next generation of emerging designers. We'll find out how they're making Vancouver the next fashion capital.
Well, we have come a long way since 2001.
Coming up, we'll talk to organizer Vicky Mackey about the Vancouver fashion scene. Murphy isn't only a pet, she's a working dog and helps Wilson, who is hard of hearing. Plus, we'll meet some incredible dogs who are making life easier for their deaf owners. When you think of ballet, you're probably thinking of pointed toes, arabesques, and pliés. But when it comes to Ballet BC's latest production of Peter Pan, the dancers are having a hard time keeping their feet on the ground.
It's already a demanding profession, but none of these dancers ever imagined they'd be asked to learn how to fly. Luckily, the cast of Ballet BC's Peter Pan has some help. Their aerial training was provided by Las Vegas-based Flying by Foy. Their flying director says teaching dancers is a bit of a challenge.
It is. They have to learn to let go and share the control with somebody else. They're used to controlling their own bodies, and when we fly, we have to give that control away to somebody else for a while.
Shannon Smith, who plays Peter Pan, says it's been a big adventure, but a technically demanding one at that.
So that takes a lot of practice, and then you need to fine-tune that and put a 10-year-old, exuberant boy in there at the same time. So you've got to be well-behaved and disciplined, at the same time mischievous and devious and troublesome.
The dancers say it's been tough getting used to the gear that's needed to propel them to flight.
It's been good. It's been challenging. I'm finding the harness quite difficult. It's very restrictive. It's very stiff and heavy. And as a dancer, one normally knows, one's own body and one's space around one. But now it feels like there's a third party involved. It almost feels like a small rucksack.
It makes things especially difficult for the youngest dancers in the company, aged 11 and 14 respectively.
Yeah, it does, because I have to actually lift Johannes a lot, and it implies some weight on him for lifting and stuff. Yeah, it does. And also when you lie down, because we have to lie on our beds, sometimes the back gets a little irritating, but it's not like really bad.
Despite the burden of the equipment, the young dancers say learning to fly was kind of easy.
It wasn't hard because of our dance training previously. It kind of, like, when you dance, you have to learn how to hold your body properly and, like, posture. So we had all that down, so it was pretty easy.
While the aerial elements add some sparkle to the story of Peter Pan, the dancers' graceful yet powerful movements on stage are equally magical.
We always think flying is like a spice. You don't want to do it too long. You don't want to do too much. Just enough to get the idea across, have people go, wow, and then we get back to the dancing. It's just there to enhance the ballet. It's not to overshadow it.
On the ground and in the air, the dancers say it's a great way to tell this family-friendly tale of adventure, discovery, and dreams.
Obviously, the cheekiness of the character. So there's enough, comedy and humour, and then there's the whole moral of it that why grow up, why listen to society, just keep following this adventure to that adventure. Everyone wants to live that sort of life.
In Vancouver, I'm Tracy Palazzari for The Express.
Ballet BC wraps up its season with the Canadian premiere of Peter Pan. But we're just getting started here at the launch for Vancouver Fashion Week, which translates into 4 fashion shows and 35 designers. Coming up, we'll find out how Vancouver rates on the international fashion scene.
I can only see Fashion Week getting bigger and better.
Behind us, legendary, majestic Revelstoke Dam.
Plus, the travel guys stay close to home. They're visiting Revelstoke.
Dream of traveling to South America? What about Chile? What if you could without leaving the city? Discover the real Chile through Chile Bros event. Call now 604-678-3525.
Hair services for The Express provided by the Lounge Hair Studio. The Lounge, helping you reach your full image potential.
Welcome back to The Express. I'm Bianca Salterbeck, and today we're getting a look at the designs at Vancouver Fashion Week, including creations from David Leach, 316, and Like Sunday. But first, we're getting a tour of a training center for dogs who work with the deaf and hard of hearing. That's today's Vancouver Foundation Presents.
She likes to explore, she likes to do new things, she loves her food.
Chris Wilson is describing her dog Murphy. The two are inseparable because Murphy isn't only a pet, she's a working dog and helps Wilson, who is hard of hearing.
When the phone rings, she comes up, she'll jump at me and she will take me to the phone. If I drop my keys, she will also stop me and take me back to my keys, and that happened very quickly because in training you treat them, and I think it took 1 or 2 tries.
Chris has worked really hard, and people tend to think that most of the training goes into the dog, and it does, but by the time the dog is ready for placement, the client comes in and they're a complete blank slate.
Once I was accepted in the program and we were matched as a potential team, we had 1 week of very intensive training, and that occurred at the PADS Training Center.
What is it?
At the PADS Training Center in Burnaby, dogs are taught to alert their owners to things like oven timers, phone calls, and smoke alarms.
They get their training here on site to start with, and then they go home with the instructors and do it in the instructor's house as well, so that they get used to practicing their sounds in a home-like environment.
Good boy. PADS, which stands for Pacific Assistance Dogs, currently has a waiting list for dogs who help the deaf or hard of hearing. But thanks to Vancouver Foundation, the organization was able to hire an additional apprentice instructor.
The number of dogs that we place is directly related to how many training staff we have to train the dogs. So by adding 1 more trainer, we're probably adding 6 or more dogs a year to our placement list.
PADS always ensures a dog's personality matches that of its owner.
If we have a high energy type of dog, such as a smooth fox terrier, they like to go all the time. And if you place them with somebody who's pretty sedentary, likes to stay at home, it's not going to be a good match.
Watching Wilson and her dog Murphy, it's obvious the people from PADS have made another perfect match. I'm Bianca Salterbeck in Burnaby for The Express. PADS is hosting a Mother's Day charity brunch and auction on May 10th. For more information, go to pads.ca. We're at the opening gala of Vancouver Fashion Week, 4 days of fashion shows that draws thousands of buyers, celebrities, and those of us who love fashion. Seasons of Vancouver Fashion Week. How has it evolved over the years?
Well, we have come a long way since 2001. When we first started out, there wasn't really any event like this in Vancouver. Now we're gaining momentum and people are really coming on board with us, so we're excited.
Brandy, you have worked in New York and you're coming back to Vancouver to work here. Why?
I love Vancouver. It's such a beautiful city. People are so friendly here. New York is amazing, but this is my home, so I decided to start my line here.
Tell me about this piece that you've come up with for the collection.
It is a lace skirt lined with silk inside. It's nice and soft on your legs. It's a bow. I really love fuchsia. It's my base color for my company in black.
Cecile, you are a local designer. What inspired you to pursue this profession?
Well, I had passion when I was a child. I always loved design. I started off with graphics and I wanted to further my education, so I just decided to study fashion.
Tell me a little bit about your model here. How long did it take to design this gown?
Well, this gown, my inspiration is cocoon, and I played with the colors and the fabrics. This is Chantone silk, and I wanted her to look very classic and elegant.
Why decide to blend international designers with local designers?
Vancouver is such a multicultural city. We have people from all over here and there's so many different styles of fashion. So I really think that's why this year we do have so many different designers from as far away as Japan.
This is an impressive dress for a student. Tell me what it took to make this.
It took almost 1 month to make it, and especially for detail, I took reading each details. So, and then I made each looks, so it took me a long time.
And what inspired this dress?
Actually, my inspiration is weaving. So each garment of my collection, we have weaving details.
I'm a designer because I was born just to design. I've always loved it. It was one of my gifts. I'm inspired by an 1860s collection with modern twist. I'm doing more fitted gowns instead of the crinoline, big puffy gowns. I just think it's a great opportunity, Vancouver Fashion Week. You get to meet and greet lots of people, and tonight's been great.
How does Vancouver rate on the international fashion scene?
As Vancouver grows and becomes a bigger city, I mean, the Olympics are coming up, we're going to be on the world stage with that. I can only see Fashion Week getting bigger and better.
To check in with our world travelers, Jim and Darren. This week they're sticking a little closer to home. They're showing us the sights and sounds of Revelstoke.
Flight Center Travel Guys is brought to you by Flight Center. Booking your next big trip is just a phone call away at 1-877-WORLD-05. That's 1-877-WORLD-05. Flight Center, unbeatable.
Kick it. Hi, I'm Jim Gordon. And I'm Darren Parkman. And we are the Travel Guys. Nice toque, by the way. Thank you. Behind us, legendary, majestic Revelstoke Dam. And where there's a Revelstoke Dam, there's gotta be a Revelstoke.
Like a lot of settlements in BC, Revelstoke started out as a mining town, and it still has that sort of old, charming look of a town 100 years ago.
Yeah, it does. We're just looking at some of the buildings around here. Really old brick buildings, the way they built them 100 years ago. They've managed to maintain those. Really charming, kind of quaint little downtown.
But all that is about to change. They're adding 5,000 homes to this area because of the brand new ski resort.
This is unbelievable. It's gorgeous up here. It's cooler up here, huh? We're about 1,200 feet right now, I think.
Well, I can't believe it. Jimmy and I actually did it. Some of the best snowmobiling in the world here in Revelstoke, and we did pretty good. How you doing over there, buddy?
Oh, it's great, buddy. And I'm telling you, snowmobiling in this environment, it does not get any prettier than that.
You know, Jimmy and I are nothing if not adventurous, and to prove that, it's time for a little something we like to call Jim and Darren's Snow Hike Adventure.
And thus concludes Jim and Darren's excellent snow hike adventure.
Well, we are on our way up to Mount Mackenzie, and the view from up here is absolutely stunning. You can see downtown Revelstoke and all the snow on the mountain. It's gorgeous. Are you terrified right now? No, I'm not. Are you comfortable with the ride? Are you okay? No, I'm not.
Well, the choppers just landed on the side of Mount Mackenzie, and it's snowing lightly up here, very cold, and we're about knee-deep in snow right now, and I can't move my feet or even feel them at this point, actually.
No, it's that cold, actually. I want to wish you luck with that. We're actually at the top of the gondola where the restaurant is going to be, part of the Revelstoke Mountain Resort. It is very cold up here, though.
We'll see you next time on The Travel Guys.
Woo! Let's go, buddy.
Hi, I'm Brian from the Kerrisdale Flight Center in Vancouver. Cruising has been gaining in popularity year by year. Two reasons for this are because where else can you actually get on a ship and see 5 countries in 5 days? Another is because you get world-class dining, 5-star accommodations, and great entertainment on every single cruise line you could go on. A tip on cruising is to make sure you book early. The earlier you get in, the better chance you have of getting an upgrade.
Flight Center Travel Guys has been brought to you by Flight Center. Booking your next big trip is just a phone call away at 1-877-WORLD-05. That's 1-877-WORLD-05. Flight Center, unbeatable.
Next week, we're joining Jim and Darren in the medieval city of Siena in Italy. Now get your calendars out, there are some great events coming up. The Vancouver Cantata Singers mark their 50th anniversary with an evening of celebration, including a new work that was commissioned for the occasion. Local TV personality Dawn Choubet has more to sing about than just the weather. She performs a blend of jazz, funk, and blues. More than 40 Inuit sculptures give insight into Arctic life, and they're on display at a new exhibit at the Coastal People's Fine Arts Gallery. Vancouver Fashion Week runs until Sunday, and now we're taking to the streets to find out what fashion means to you.
It means to me about feeling good on the inside and the outside.
Fashion is just what you wear, what you look like. It's very cliquish, actually. I don't like it.
I think fashion's more identity, expression.
How you want to carry yourself and the way you look, and it's kind of almost like you're giving people a message of who you are in a way.
Because it's the first thing you see on the person, right? Their fashion. So you can determine like what the person's like by the way they dress.
Fashion is more or less nothing to me. If you're comfortable in what you're wearing, it's all good.
Expressing who you are on the outside and not just on the inside.
I think it's fun, but I don't think it's something you should put like a lot of value into. I think that's, I don't know, it doesn't really mean much in the long scheme of things, so.
Nothing. Because I'm old guy. I'm already 76. So I don't care what the fashion.
Yes, because I'm Italian, so for me fashion is Milano.
Well, that's our show for today. We've got some great shows coming up, including highlights of the Vancouver Sun Run and Mini Sun Run. I'm Bianca Salterbeck, and from all of us here at Shaw TV, thanks for watching.
To accelerate the aircraft to its takeoff speed of 180 As they start to roll, one over the other, all the way down the shoreline. One up, the other one up, the other one up, the other one up. Many years ago, if you ever got in one of those, it was game over because most airplanes